when the sky turns against us. Every once in a while, the atmosphere over North America turns into something almost alive, a churning, roaring machine that seems to hunt. Tornadoes are terrifying on their own, but sometimes they don't come alone. They come in outbreaks, waves of twisters spawned by massive storm systems stretching hundreds of miles. These outbreaks are nature's version of war. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of tornadoes striking in a single day or two, leaving behind destruction that changes landscapes and history. Today we're exploring the deadliest tornado outbreaks ever recorded. What caused them, where they struck, and how they changed our understanding of severe weather forever. The Tri-State Tornado, 1925. Let's begin with the deadliest single tornado in U.S. history. On March 18, 1925, a monstrous storm formed over Missouri and carved a path of death through Illinois and Indiana. The Tri-State Tornado wasn't just another twister, it was a nightmare. It stayed on the ground for an estimated 219 miles, with winds topping 300 miles per hour. Whole towns like Murfreesboro, Illinois, and Gorham, Missouri were erased. 695 people were killed, over 2,000 injured, and thousands more left homeless. Back then, there were no radar systems, no warnings, no sirens, only the darkening sky. Survivors described the tornado as a wall of black dust that swallowed the horizon. To this day, it remains the most devastating tornado event ever documented. The Tupelo-Gainesville Outbreak, 1936. In April 1936, two separate tornadoes struck within 24 hours. One in Tupelo, Mississippi, and another in Gainesville, Georgia. The Tupelo tornado leveled nearly half the city, killing over 200 people, many of them in homes that collapsed overnight. The next day, the Gainesville tornado ripped through Georgia, flattening the downtown area and trapping factory workers under debris. Another 200 people died there. Combined, these storms killed more than 430 people, making this outbreak one of the deadliest sequences in American history. They also revealed a harsh truth. Tornadoes don't just destroy property, they expose inequality. Poorer neighborhoods built with weaker materials were always hit hardest. The 1953 outbreak, Waco and Flint. Fast forward to the early 1950s, the era of post-war growth and optimism. That year, America was reminded just how fragile progress could be. On May 11, 1953, a massive F5 tornado hit Waco, Texas, killing 114 people and injuring nearly 600. Downtown buildings crumbled into piles of brick and rebar. Cars were tossed like toys. Just weeks later, another F5 struck Flint, Michigan, killing 116 more. Together, the 1953 outbreak sequence became a wake-up call. It pushed meteorologists to begin experimenting with radar detection and public warnings, early versions of the tornado alert systems we rely on today. The super outbreak of 1974. Then came a turning point, April 3rd to 4th, 1974, known simply as the super outbreak. In just 24 hours, 148 tornadoes touched down across 13 states from Alabama to Michigan. An incredible 30 of those were rated F4 or F5. Whole towns disappeared. Xenia, Ohio, Brandenburg, Kentucky, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. 335 people died and thousands were injured. For meteorologists, the 1974 outbreak became the gold standard for studying tornado dynamics. For survivors, it was a scar that never healed. Radar images from that day, black and white, grainy, but unmistakable, showed the U.S. facing something it had never seen before. Multiple supercells marching east like an army. The Andover, Kansas outbreak, 1991. By the early 1990s, tornado forecasting had improved, but nature still had surprises. On April 26, 1991, a deadly system hit Kansas and Oklahoma, spawning more than 50 tornadoes. The most infamous struck Andover, Kansas, where an F5 tornado ripped through the Golden Spur mobile home park, killing 13 people in minutes. The outbreak was captured live on television, one of the first times a violent tornado had been filmed so clearly. Millions watched the footage in disbelief as entire homes vanished before their eyes. That moment permanently changed public awareness. Tornadoes weren't abstract anymore. They were real, fast, and terrifyingly close. The Oklahoma Moore Outbreak, 1999. 8 years later, Oklahoma became the center of attention again. On May 3, 1999, a historic outbreak spawned 74 tornadoes, including a record-breaking F5 that tore through Moore, Oklahoma, producing the strongest winds ever recorded on Earth at 318 miles per hour. The destruction was biblical: 8,000 homes destroyed, entire neighborhoods flattened, and 36 people killed. But for the first time, Doppler radar captured the inner structure of an F5 tornado in real time. This outbreak revolutionized storm research, leading to better modeling, forecasting, and public warning systems. It showed that science could now see what was once unimaginable. The super outbreak of 2011. If 1974 was the benchmark, 2011 shattered it. Between April 25th to 28th, 2011, a massive weather system unleashed 360 tornadoes across the U.S. The worst day, April 27th, saw 211 tornadoes in 24 hours, the most ever recorded in a single day. The strongest struck Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, Alabama, killing 64 people and leveling neighborhoods. Another massive twister hit Joplin, Missouri weeks later, killing 158 more. By the end, 324 people were dead, thousands injured, and billions in damage left behind. Meteorologists called it a once-in-a-century outbreak. Survivors called it something else: the longest night of their lives. The 2013 Moore tornado. On May 20th, 2013, tragedy struck Moore, Oklahoma once again, almost exactly on the same path as 1999. This EF5 tornado was 1.3 miles wide, stayed on the ground for nearly 40 minutes, and killed 24 people, including children at Plaza Towers Elementary School. It was another painful reminder that even in an age of smartphones, radar apps, and sirens, tornadoes remain unpredictable and unstoppable. The damage reached $2 billion, making it one of the costliest tornadoes in history. The 2019 Dayton El Reno outbreak. In late May 2019, an unusual pattern emerged: a series of nighttime tornadoes tearing through the Midwest. Between May 17th and June 1st, more than 400 tornadoes hit across multiple states. In Dayton, Ohio, an EF4 ripped through suburbs under cover of darkness. In El Reno, Oklahoma, another twister struck a motel and mobile home park, killing several people. This outbreak highlighted a growing threat: nighttime tornadoes, harder to see, and deadlier because people are asleep when they hit. It also revealed the shifting geography of tornado risk. More twisters forming outside traditional Tornado Alley in places like Ohio, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. The December 2021 outbreak. Winter's Fury tornadoes are a spring and summer phenomenon, or at least they used to be. On December 10th to 11th, 2021, a catastrophic outbreak tore across Kentucky, Tennessee, and Illinois, spawning 71 tornadoes, including an EF4 that stayed on the ground for over 165 miles, one of the longest tracks ever recorded. The small town of Mayfield, Kentucky, was almost completely destroyed. Factories collapsed, homes disintegrated, and more than 80 people died. This outbreak shocked meteorologists because of its timing: midwinter at night. It showed how a warming atmosphere may be changing tornado behavior, expanding their season and reach. The human cost and legacy. Each of these outbreaks left more than destruction. They left lessons. They pushed science forward. The 1925 tri-state tornado led to better storm research. The 1974 super outbreak created the National Weather Service's watch warning system. The 2011 outbreak pushed radar and satellite networks to new limits. And each one changed how Americans think about weather. Not as a background force, but as a living danger woven into the country's identity. Why these outbreaks happen here. Nearly all of these disasters happened in the United States, and that's no coincidence. The geography of North America is a natural engine for severe weather. Warm, moist Gulf air meets cold Canadian fronts over flat plains, producing the perfect recipe for rotating storms. It's why the US will always lead the world in tornado frequency, and why outbreak events like these are not just history, but warnings for the future.